This is going to be the hardest video I have ever filmed in my entire life. I have wanted to be transparent and real, and at the same time I've also not wanted to talk about this because it's so hard to talk about. It's hard to go through, and part of me just wanted to go through this in silence because I don't know, if I said something publicly, then it would look stupid if the circumstance changes, or I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I don't know what's happening in my life right now. I'm so confused. I'm so stressed. And I'm trying as hard as I possibly can to not sink into a really bad depression. So, basically right now my husband and I are separated. It was not mutual at all. It was very one-sided. We are both to blame, but it has just gotten to the point where it's more than a separation. I don't know if it's divorce or not. I have no idea. So a few months ago, in August, my husband sat me down and told me that we were moving back here, that we were coming home, and I had no choice, that we were leaving Florida and we're coming home. And he told me it was because of his job, and he told me on a Tuesday that we were coming home and he had to be at work by Monday morning the next week. We had not really been struggling, but it was a little hard because of COVID and everything, and we had to borrow money from family. He was ready to go instantly, and I told him I couldn't. I told him I couldn't pack up a whole house in 4 or 5 days. Like, there's no way that I could do that. So we decided, or I mean, at least I thought that we decided together to keep me and the kids in Florida for 2 months while he came up here and worked. I thought that we were in a good place. We've always had fights. We've always had struggles with communication. It's never been easy for us to communicate about things. I am overly emotional, whether it's anger or sadness, and he is very closed off and he doesn't talk about anything. Nothing at all. I've just kind of gotten used to that. And then he left for 2 months, and he called us every day and FaceTimed me and texted me, constantly saying that he missed me. And I was so stressed out by myself because not only were we basically in lockdown, there wasn't really anywhere to go. My car was not working. It was having really bad problems, and it was just me, the 2 kids, and the dog, homeschooling, trying to work my business, trying to pack the house, literally doing everything alone. It was really, really hard for me, and he kind of just didn't seem like he cared. Then he came home at the end of October to come get us and help us move everything back with the truck and all that stuff. He told me, like, we had a real conversation, and he told me that he had missed me so much, and that he talked to his cousin about how much he was in love with me and about how we were going to have a real wedding because we got married in a courthouse. And so we never really had like an official wedding, you know, the dress and the reception and all of that stuff. And we'd kind of talked about it before, but he said we were dead set on it, that 2022 we were going to have a real full wedding. While he was gone, I was trying to look for a new car because my car was just shot. It was so bad. It was really becoming unsafe to drive. And so he told me, look for a new car. We'll trade it in. We'll get something different. You know, it'll be fine. We couldn't find anything down there. My brother told me that if we could get the van up here, he could try to help us out finding a new car. He was just calling in favors and talking to friends and everything. And he worked really hard So we were set on coming home, and then that Saturday we were gonna go and trade our car in, and everything was gonna be good. And my husband was completely on board with me and behind like all of it. That Friday night we were unloading the U-Haul, and he just flat out said, hey, you're not getting a new car, we're not doing this at all. And I started getting upset because I didn't understand what had happened when the whole 2 months before he was on board with it and we were set, and my brother had put in so much hard work to make sure that, you know, we had had this all ready and numbers were crunched and like payments were like, basically everything was done. We just had to go in and go see the car, test drive it, make sure we liked it, and then that was it. He said no. And when I tried to talk to him about it, he got really mad and just said, no, we're not doing it, period. So I of course got upset, and I wasn't upset at the fact that we weren't getting a car. I was just upset that he just said no, and there was no reason behind it. There was no talking. He was just demanding it, you know. A lot of our fights would kind of be that way because he would tell me what to do and just expect it like that. And I don't like being told what to do. I would rather have a conversation and you explain to me something and then we decide together. And it wasn't like that for him. A few days later, he told me that he was getting one of his like speeding tickets like taken care of or whatever to get points off and stuff. All I knew is that he had a speeding ticket. That's all I knew. And then he told me that the lawyer was going to call me for just like some more info because he was at work. So she called and talked to me, and she told me what really happened, and basically almost got his license taken away. And by the grace of God, he didn't. And I told him he should be more careful. And he went off on me and told me that I need to respect him, that I shouldn't talk to him that way. And I was so mad. I was just so mad because just the fact that he kept it from me and he thought it was okay, and it wasn't my concern, and all I said was the same thing that the lawyer said, basically, and I was just so mad. And so I texted him and I told him mean things. I said mean things and hurtful things that I should have never said, just as a human in general, but as a wife. And I didn't mean any of the things I said. I was just so hurt. And I know that sometimes as women in general, most women do this. We want to hurt you the way that you've hurt us. I don't know why. It's so stupid, but that's what happens. And our emotions just come and take over and get the best of us, and it's just so dumb. Being the Christian that I'm trying to be, you know, and trying to live my life in love and kindness, and I would never talk to anyone else the way that I talk to him. I know that I shouldn't have said the things that I've said, but if we're being 100% honest, which I'm really trying to be, I've said these things to him before. We have fought, we've said mean things, and we've both got over it. This time it was different. This time he didn't come home. He went to his brother's house and he didn't come back. That was at the beginning of November. And since then, he has come home for maybe a week at a time. Maybe like 3 times. And he just keeps leaving. I knew that I messed up. I knew that I said mean things, and I apologized for it. And I told him, you know, I shouldn't have done it, and I really shouldn't have. And I heard someone say that sometimes we take out our anger and our frustration on our spouse because we just assume that that person has to take it because they love us. And we assume that they just have to get over it, and that they're never going to leave. And so I think subconsciously, like that's just how I felt. And I didn't do it on purpose. And I, you know, since he left, I've really been reflecting a lot on how I used to talk to him. And it would just ignite fires. I just kept adding more fuel to the fire, just more and more gasoline, and just kept pouring it on. And then I decided that if he's gonna go, I'm really gonna need to work on me as best as I can. But that didn't even happen until probably 2 months in, because I was so depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to show up on my stories. I didn't want to record videos. I just kept putting on a fake smile because I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want anyone to ask me questions. I didn't want anyone's advice. I didn't want anyone making fun of me or telling me I told you so. I just didn't want anything. I just was so upset. A few years ago, before I started focusing on my health and, really reading personal development and getting right in my head, I was constantly battling with thoughts of suicide. I don't like that word, and I don't like saying it out loud. I've never actively tried to kill myself. I've never taken a bunch of drugs to go to sleep and not wake up. I've never tried to shoot myself or anything like that. But I've always thought about what my life would be if I just wasn't here. Like, what was the point? That I just had no purpose. And every relationship that I've ever had has always ended up terrible because I guess of me. I don't know. And it was really hard to love myself. It was really hard to see that I was worth so much more. And when I started taking care of myself, those things started changing, and I started realizing that it's not me that was messed up, that I am worth it, and that I do have a purpose. I have 2 amazing, beautiful kids, and I've had so many amazing, blessed opportunities in my life, and my life might not be what I want it to be yet, but I know that there is something more for me here, and I know that God does not want me to be angry or sad or hate myself, because he created me perfectly. And so I had to realize that. I had to see that. And after I had my daughter, my husband and I had a really hard time talking, connecting, touching, anything. Like, nothing happened. Because I had gotten so angry and bitter, and I hated how I looked. I hated how I felt. I was just so depressed, and it could have been postpartum. I don't know. I didn't even want to fill out those answers on the questionnaires after you have a kid. They ask you questions to see if you possibly could have postpartum, and I avoided the ones that asked if you were depressed, or asked if you hated yourself, or asked if, you'd had thoughts about killing yourself, because I had never actively tried to, and I always thought it was so selfish. So I knew that I never would, but I always thought that it just might be better for everyone if I was gone. I remember one night, because I was so insecure, that I checked my husband's phone, and there were no messages or pictures or anything bad like that, but I looked at his history, his browser history, and he was looking up, like, why am I not attracted to my wife anymore? Why do I want to cheat on my wife? Why can't I do anything with my wife? Like, what is it? Like, he was trying to find answers, and I was just so bitter and closed off that I pushed him out. I'm sure that messed with him. I don't want him to look like the bad guy, because I had a lot of faults too. I started losing weight, and I started being happier. I started wanting to be in pictures with my kids, and I started finding my self-worth. I started sticking up for myself, and I didn't want to back down. If he said I couldn't do something, I would get mad and say that I could. So lately, it's been so hard to even get up in the morning. It's been hard to wake up. It's been hard to be a mom. It's been hard to be a coach. It's been hard to do anything. This is something that should have taken me out by now. The person who I was a year ago, if this would have happened to me November of 2019 versus November of 2020. If this would have happened to me then, I would have lost it all. Like, I wouldn't have cared. I would have backed down. I would have just given up on everything. I can honestly say that the only reason that I'm even alive right now is because of God. Like, there is no other reason. There's no other, like, it's not a trick or a joke. Like, I dove in so hard to my Bible when quarantine started in March last year. I decided to make God 100% the top of everything. I was actually driving a few weeks ago in the snow, and this has never even happened before, but the car that I was driving with my kids in it completely spun out and turned completely around on the highway. And there wasn't anything wrong. No scratches, no dents. I didn't crash the car. The kids were fine. So I know, and if none of you believe this, I know there are going to be some of you that do, and if you're not Christian, that's fine. But I know that the devil has been trying to take me out. Thinking about the worst thing that you could ever imagine happening to you finally happening, like, that should break you, you know, and that should wreck your life. But it didn't. I'm so confused and upset because he won't come home, and he just keeps telling me that it's my fault. He won't talk to me. He won't go to therapy. He won't acknowledge me. Nothing. All I've been doing is praying about it because I don't know how else to fight this. My husband is lost right now mentally, and I don't know how to fix it. And I don't think it's my job to fix it. I think it's, you know, between him and God for sure. I know that when you blame someone for everything and, you know, you tell them how much you love them and then 2 weeks later you leave them, I know that there's something else there. And I've had people, you know, bring up, well, do you think he's cheating? And do you think he's with someone? I don't think he is, but at the same time, I guess you can really never know what someone would do. Maybe he messed up and maybe he did, and maybe he can't forgive himself. I don't know. He doesn't come see the kids that much. And then 2 weeks ago, he showed up to church, the same church I've been going to for the past 20 years, and he came about 5 minutes before it was over, and he spent that 5 minutes with the kids and then left. And he gave them each money. And then this week on Sunday, he did the same thing. And I told him I didn't want him to give Dino any money because I don't want Dino to think that he's trying to buy his love or anything like that. It's so hard when you have kids and you're going through something like this. He snapped at me and I said, you know, you don't want to be with me. You don't want to leave me. Like, he doesn't want to make it official. Because I've asked him. I've said, okay, are you wanting a divorce from me? And he always avoided it. He always ignored me and just said, I'm not talking about this right now. But now it's February, almost March. And Sunday I said, you don't want to be with me, but you don't want to divorce me? I don't know what you want. And he said, don't worry, we're going to get divorced. And inside it just broke me because I'm trying so hard to stay above water right now. I don't even know what happened. It's like, it really came out of nowhere. I never thought that I would lose him. I never thought that we would be separated or on a break. We've been together for, March will be 10 years together, and April will be 8 years married, and I love him so much. I have so much love for him, and he was such a good dad before. And I know that posting this video, I know that there are going to be so many opinions. I know that there are going to be so many messages. I'm going to get calls, I know, because no one really knows what I'm going through right now. It's been so hard to do this alone. My mom is divorced. My grandma was divorced. I've seen a lot of it, And I didn't, and I still don't want to be in this cycle of, you know, the generational curses or whatever. I know that God can fix anything. But I had to shift my praying to, God, whatever you want for my life, whatever your will is, then that's fine. And I honestly, I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna get back on here next month and tell you that it's official and I'm divorced and alone. Or if I'm gonna tell you that we're going to therapy and we're doing better. And right now I'm nervous because I haven't had an actual job, like, outside of the house since 2013, because I was going through school and I ended up having to leave the job that I was at. He told me to stay home with Dino because Dino he had just turned a year old, and he's like, stay home, finish school, work on your degree. And so I did. I stayed home, I went through school, I graduated, I got my bachelor's degree, and then I had to stay home and take care of my grandma full time because she was sick. And then I had Havana. And I've always just felt like my life lacked so much purpose. Like, I was a mom and I took care of my grandma and I had the dog and I was a wife, but I knew that there was just something more. This whole thing, all of it combined, being a coach and my husband leaving me, has just really made me truly learn how to love myself without anybody else doing it for me, without needing validation from somebody else and needing him to tell me he loves me every day, because I now know that my love doesn't come from someone else. My love doesn't come from me being pretty, and loving myself doesn't come from a man telling me that he loves me. It doesn't come from my kids. It doesn't come from, you know, being in Florida versus being here. It comes from God, and that is the only thing that matters, and it is the only thing getting me through any of this. I've had to learn to be more disciplined in my business because I can't just walk out and leave my kids. Like, if he decides to leave and never come back, I have to figure everything out. And I know that there are moms that do it all the time. So I know that I can. I watched my mom do it. I watched my grandma do it. Like, I know that I can do it. I just don't want to. I don't want to do this alone. I know that deep down in there, he's a good man. I just think it's gotten lost in insecurities and never having money, never having anything. And so I really tried to come from a place of genuinely wanting to help us both live the life that we wanted to live, and moving us to Florida and really, you know, diving into coaching and owning my own business and just really helping people go through the same stuff that I went through, you know. And it always hasn't been good enough because I guess I don't bring in enough money. I don't bring in the same amount of money that he brings in. So somehow that means I don't work as hard or I don't do as much. And I don't know if this is something that God needs us to both walk through, that maybe he's fixing something in him before he brings him back, or maybe he's fixing something in me. If you guys could just show me as much love as you can right now, because I need it. I need as many prayer warriors as I can get. I need you to send all of the prayers my way, all of the prayers his way. I don't want anything bitter. I don't want anything angry. I don't want anything, you know, judging me and telling me that I should just walk out, because I genuinely deep down feel like there is a big purpose in us being together, that there is something that God has us to do. Like, there's something for us. There's something that we're gonna, shake people's lives with together. And I don't know if this is the massive hurdle that we have to get through before we get to that finish line. It's really hard to do this by myself. All of you guys who follow me on Instagram are just so sweet and kind, and you guys are so supportive. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I can't just walk away. I have 2 beautiful kids who are hurting and are confused, and they're angry and they're sad, and it hurts me more because it's hurting them. So if you guys could please keep me and my family in your prayers, and send me encouraging Bible verses or quotes, or lift me up any way that you can. I know 100% that if we go to God, at least there's more than one person. If there's 2 or 3 people at least praying for me, I know that we're gonna move mountains. So if even 100 of you or a few thousand of you see this and send one little prayer for me, you have no idea how that's gonna impact my life. Please just pray that my kids are strong enough for this and that they can get through this, and please pray that God's will is done, not mine. As much as I want my husband home, if he's not meant to come back, if God's pushing him out because of what he's doing or who he's turning into, then I understand. Pray for God to do what he has to do. Pray for God to use me in whatever it is, because maybe I can help one of you who may go through this later on, But if you've made it to this point, and if you're still here, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. And to those of you who already know everything that's been going on, I love you so much. I'm just so sick of everything being so fake and putting on a show, because I don't believe that it's right. But I believe that I'm gonna get through this. I know that I will. And I'm so thankful that this didn't happen a year ago, because I wouldn't have made it. I would have crashed and burned if this happened last year. Because the person that I was last year is not even close to who I am now. So please pray for us. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, if you want to go over there, I will probably be able to keep you guys more in the loop over there, because I know that I'm going to get a lot of questions and messages and everything. I need every good spiritual movement right now from God that I could possibly get, because I'm stuck, I'm lost, and I know that there are so many out there who believe what I believe. I know that prayer works, and I know that when a lot of prayer happens, things really move, and crazy situations that could have ended one way can completely turn around. I know that. I have the faith for that. But I know that I can no longer go through this alone. I want you guys to know that God's always going to be there. He didn't leave me. This isn't God's fault. I'm not mad at God at all, because he's the only one keeping my head floating right now. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting me and following me, and thank you for all the love that you guys have given me. Honest to God, I appreciate it so much more than you could ever imagine. Thank you for keeping me and the kids in your thoughts and prayers. I'll see you guys next time.